I know for a fact I'm not gonna go to jail. Not one day in jail. I'm gonna laugh my ass off when all these motherfuckers are saying I'm going for 30 years, 20 years, 5 years, 10 years. Bro, I'm telling you, I'm not even gonna do one day, bro. They're gonna give me a fine. They're gonna say, don't come back to Korea.
I know for a fact I'm not going to jail. Not even for a single day. People keep saying I'll get 5 years, 10 years, even 30 years. But honestly, I'm gonna laugh at all of that. Bro, I'm telling you, I won't serve a single day. At most, they'll fine me and tell me not to come back to Korea. Well, the day everyone had been waiting for finally arrived. And honestly, it felt like Christmas came early this year. On April 15th, 2026, Johnny Somali walked into a South Korean courtroom wearing an Israel and USA pin on his chest, almost like he thought it would help him. But he didn't walk out the same way. He left through a side exit in handcuffs. He even brought a fully packed backpack with him, which says a lot about his mindset, no matter what he had been claiming for the past 18 months. Now let's talk about what actually happened inside that courtroom, because the details are pretty revealing. Interestingly, he looked completely different from how you've seen him online. No eye contact, quiet, possibly the first time he's ever been silent in his streaming career. When the judge gave him a real chance to speak, a chance that could have influenced the outcome, his entire defense came down to just two things: I miss my family, and claiming he was currently a student at Arizona State University. Then came the verdict. The judge asked him directly, "Is there any reason you shouldn't be sent to prison in Korea?" And he lied. He said he was still a student at ASU, which he wasn't, and then repeated that he missed his family. The problem? Everyone in that courtroom already knew the truth. The judge, the prosecution, everyone. But he still said it anyway. The judge, who had also been monitoring his YouTube activity throughout the trial, didn't entertain it. He simply signed the detention order. The Seoul Western District Court found him guilty on all 8 charges: 4 counts of business obstruction, 2 minor offence violations, and 2 counts related to distributing deepfake content, the very charges he had denied. Ironically, those were also the same offences he had live-streamed himself committing. So, not exactly a strong legal strategy. The prosecution had pushed for a much harsher sentence: 3 years in prison with labour plus 5 years on the sex offender registry. But the judge handed down 6 months in prison with labour, an additional 20 days of detention, 5 years on the offender registry, and immediate permanent confiscation of his phones. He was instantly handcuffed, labelled a flight risk, and escorted out through a side exit while the courtroom cleared. His belongings, phones, electronics, everything were taken on the spot. Now, I know what many people are thinking. This sentence should have been much longer. And honestly, that's a fair point. But at the same time, there's something important here. For once, streamers who act like they're untouchable are actually facing real consequences. The judge clearly explained the reasoning behind the sentence. On the serious side, he repeatedly committed crimes for YouTube revenue, showing no regard for his victims. He openly disrespected Korean law, even insulting the judge during live streams. At one point, he even said he respected North Korea's leader more than South Korea's president. The court was also concerned about copycat behavior, the idea that others might imitate him, so the punishment needed to act as a warning. And that's a big deal, because lately, many streamers pull extreme stunts for views, assuming they'll get away with it. On the other hand, there were factors that reduced his sentence. 2 victims agreed not to pursue further punishment, and in one case involving AI-generated explicit content, the court ruled that the victim's harm didn't meet the threshold for maximum penalty. That decision likely reduced his sentence from 3 years down to 6 months. Naturally, many people feel that's disappointing. Online reactions have been intense. On Reddit, posts quickly gained thousands of upvotes, with people not even for South Korea and calling this a major win. People keep saying I'll get 5 years, but at the same time, many felt 6 months. But honestly, I'm going to laugh at all of that. Bro, I'm telling you, I won't serve a single day. American attorney legal mindset, they'll find me and tell me not to come back to Korea. 2 years would have been more appropriate. The day everyone even encouraged prosecutors to file an appeal before the April 22nd deadline early this year. Right now, the general opinion is it's a start. Johnny Somali walked into a South also another angle people are talking about: what prison will actually be like for him. He's not going to a special facility for foreigners. He'll be in the general prison population alongside Korean inmates with hard labor, no separation, no protection, and people there already know who he is. This is the same country where citizens tracked his location in real time using live stream clues just to find him in public. That kind of energy doesn't disappear. It just shifts environments. So prison is going to be an experience, to say the least. Now, here's something important. That 6 months headline doesn't tell the full story. The 5-year sex offender registration is a serious consequence. It affects where he can live, the kind of work he can do, and his life even after deportation back to the United States. Under US law, this conviction could also require him to register there, meaning long-term restrictions on housing, employment, travel, and a permanent public record. On top of that, his phones are gone permanently, not suspended, not returned later. Gone. That means the entire system he used, streaming, content creation, donations, is completely dismantled. Even if he tried to come back, platforms have banned him, his tools are gone, and he now carries serious legal consequences in multiple countries. That's not something you rebuild a content career on, and it might not even end here. There were mentions of additional charges during the trial, which could still be pursued while he's in custody and potentially extend beyond this sentence. Now, the appeal window is crucial. Prosecutors have until April 22nd, 7 days after sentencing, to appeal. They originally asked for 3 years, but received only about 20% of that. Many legal experts believe that's far too low and expect a challenge. If an appeal is filed, the case goes to a higher court, and during that process, he stays in custody. So if the appeal takes longer than 6 months, he doesn't just walk free when the sentence ends, he remains in prison. And if the case goes even higher, detention could extend further, potentially up to 14 to 18 months total. So realistically, those 6 months could turn into over a year behind bars. For now, though, one thing is clear. Johnny Somali spent 2 years confidently saying he would never go to jail. He mocked the legal system and acted like he was untouchable. But on April 15th, he walked into court and left through a side door in handcuffs. Not the main entrance, the side exit. And honestly, that says everything. Let me know what you think about this case in the comments, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.